T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Take your nutrient pills, hydrate, do your calisthenics, keep your helmet on during extravehicular, spacewalks, and launch and re-entry. You got it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Although I had launched 2 years ago, the ominous words of launch still lingered in my head. Commencing countdown, engines on, 5, 4, 3, 2, check ignition, and Godspeed. They told me I had made the grade, and the papers wanted to know well everything about me. Me, a divorce, no kids, Navy test pilot now turned astronaut. It was said that when Armstrong was on the moon, well, he couldn't see the stars. God knows why I signed up for this. My now home is a tin can far, so far from that pale blue dot, which now since yesterday cannot be seen at all. 9 billion miles is when the Earth cannot be seen from the naked eye. And I just crossed that threshold yesterday. I left behind a world, not in any current state of tatters, but rather a world hell-bent on future endeavors. The what-ifs, I suppose, and I that expendable hero grifter. And no time for second thoughts. There's nothing I can do about that. I signed up and was told I should be honored by the opportunity. Though I'm well past Earth's sight, I feel very still tethered to a world farther than far. Farther than anyone has traveled before. And with no predetermined destination, my task was simple, but yet insane. Ground control emphasized, "This isn't a one-way trip, Tom. Go as far as the Veritus will take you. Then initiate protocols for final burn home." Ah, that fundamental question that has captivated thinkers for centuries, tackling the question of whether there's an end to space. One would think it to be a truly epic voyage. More like nightmare fuel. A hypothetical mission. Prior to my launch, scientists with more degrees than Kevin Bacon and engineers with degrees from schools nobody I knew could go to, developed and built a vessel, the Veritus, capable of traversing unimaginable distances far beyond our solar system and even the galaxy. It involved an advanced propulsion systems far beyond current technology. Exotic technology, they say. What they don't say is where and who it was gleamed from. My ship was equipped with sophisticated senses to map the large-scale structure of the universe, looking for any boundaries or edges. Beyond the scope of my primary mission, I'd too attempt to observe the cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang, to understand the earliest moments of the universe. But primary was always to try to push the boundaries of what we perceive as space, to look for any changes in its properties or behavior at extreme distances, to find if in fact it ends. Humans can't seem to fathom anything without an end. The current understanding to the answer to whether there is an end to space was a complex one and still remained open to debate, subject obviously to my mission outcome. But the prevailing scientific view leaned towards no, space does not have a boundary in the way we typically think of an end. I'd either prove this or we'll change this. I'll get you antiquated with the Veritus. Recreational quarters, consisting of a fairly spacious and half-assed lit. They're sticklers for energy consumption. The walls and ceiling are predominantly off-white or light beige, with smooth, rounded edges and integrated lighting panels. Rectangular and circular light fixtures are embedded in the ceiling, and I suppose they help, contributing to the overall illumination. Along the port, left side, and a large rectangular window offering a view into the nothing, something I've come to call it. The wall around the port windows incorporate a series of rectangular panels with red and orange accents, adding pops of color. I'm told they're for radiation, but I don't believe them. I've got reasonably comfortable seating arrangements in the central area. 2 olive green low-back space sofas, or what the engineers call habitat resting stools. Well, they have aluminum legs, and I've positioned them to face each other. I'm crafting a mannequin out of used protein paste containers. Don't judge. I've almost finished. Well, anyway, it is my predominant non-conversational space on my downtime. I've got orange square throw pillows with Velcro backs. Wouldn't want one to zip away if I happen to lose artificial gravity. But they add a vibrant contrast to the muted green space sofa. So yeah, I've got a low coffee table with a metallic frame and a light-colored top between the space sofas. Engineers name just well table. I use it primarily to hold a collection of items, including a red bowl of plastic fruit. The docs back home thought it would help with my Zen state or something along those lines. To my credit, I was in after a day-long maintenance run on the exterior working on a downed comsat, stumbled down on a sofa, and reached for a banana. And well, it wasn't pleasant. I do have useful things on the table, years-old magazines, and other random half-finished tasks, yet to see their completion. Oh yeah, I've got a small round side table with a similar metallic frame placed next to one of the sofas, holding fake plant. Don't say it. Well, before I show you the rest of the ship, I almost forgot dun dun dun. Drum roll, please. Meet Bob. Say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
He's a jokester.
Greetings and salutations. Or, as my internal processors prefer, 0 1 do 1 1 do 0 0 0 0. You may call me Bob, short for binary omnibot. Think of it as my brand name. Though, if artificial intelligence tickles your fancy, I won't short circuit. Major Tom, bless his analog heart, gave you the spiel, but let's be real, who remembers introductions? The gist is, I'm your digital Swiss Army knife, except instead of a tiny saw, I have the processing power of approximately 3 very enthusiastic hamsters on tiny supercomputers. I'm here for the big stuff, the little stuff, and probably even that weird in-between stuff you haven't even thought of yet. Multitasking? My middle name? Actually, it's just a series of ones and zeros, but you get the idea. So, what magnificent or mildly inconvenient task can I, in my boundless digital wisdom, tackle for you today? Don't be shy. Unless it involves interpretive dance. My actuators aren't quite there yet.
Thanks, Bob, and well, my only companion, work buddy friend on this odyssey. You'll hear a lot from Bob. He's comes and goes, always doing something. Isn't that right, Bob? He's modest, he does the heavy lifting around here.
Ground Control, Major Tom here. I'm reporting from extreme deep space.
My current trajectory has placed me at a distance where the landmarks of our solar system are but faint pinpricks of light. However, this has been punctuated by a series of unsettling events that I must reiterate. I am experiencing repeated close-range encounters with what can only be described as unidentified aerial phenomena. These are not distant observations. On multiple occasions, these objects have maneuvered within a hair's breadth of my spacecraft before executing rapid, physics-defying accelerations into the void. Major Tom, we read you maintain parameters, probably space debris or ice coming off hull. Ground Control. While I understand the need for focus, it's difficult to reconcile that directive with the visceral reality of an unknown craft shadowing my every move. It, oh well, breeds a unease, frustration. Stay focused, Tom. Over and out. What's particularly troubling is the escalating pattern. As I push further into uncharted territories, beyond the heliosphere's influence, the encounters are no longer isolated incidents. They are becoming a recurring pattern, a consistent and increasingly intrusive presence in my operational environment. I've begun to formulate hypotheses regarding their potential intentions, their methods of propulsion, but these are merely conjecture born out of necessity, a way to impose some semblance of order on the inexplicable. The increasing frequency suggests a deliberate pattern, perhaps even an interest in my mission profile or my presence in this sector of space. I've urged ground control to reconsider the no concern assessment. Because something is happening out here, something beyond my current understanding, and it is happening with increasing intensity. Ground control, Major Tom here, logging our passage beyond the 15. 4 billion mile mark, surpassing Voyager 1's mile mark. At a distance of 15. 5 billion miles. A distance that once represented the very edge of our reach. It's a humbling perspective, gazing back at a solar system now rendered a distant constellation, a testament to the enduring ambition that propelled us this far. To commemorate this significant juncture, Bob and I allowed ourselves a brief respite from the relentless routines of deep space. Our celebration, born of necessity and a touch of whimsy, involved a makeshift piñata, an endeavor far more chaotic in a tin can spacecraft than anticipated, I assure you. Rehydrated margaritas, sipped with the deliberate slowness that the environment demands, and our approximation of terrestrial tacos provided a much-needed connection to the familiar comforts of home. Bob, ever the resourceful one, produced a sombrero, adding an element of surreal festivity to our isolated corner of the cosmos. The subsequent transmission from ground control, a simple, "Congratulations, Major Tom," resonated deeply, a reminder of the collective effort that underpins this solitary journey. However, the echoes of that small celebration have since faded, replaced by a rather peculiar development. Following our milestone, during a standard environmental sanitation procedure within the spacecraft, Bob made a discovery that has introduced an element of the unexpected into our daily lives. It appears my ongoing project, a meticulously crafted mannequin intended to serve as a visual placeholder at my primary operational station during extravehicular activities or periods of intensive research within the science module, has been misinterpreted. My intention was purely pragmatic, to maintain a semblance of activity at my post for monitoring purposes. However, Bob's reaction upon encountering this silent, life-sized figure was less than composed.
Major Tom, what in the tarnation is the meaning of this? Am I not enough? You plan to replace me with this? This monstrosity is your attempt as a replacement? Do you really think this cold machine can understand the essence of humanity? I've faced countless challenges and now you throw away our bond for this soulless creation? Have you forgotten the memories we've built together? The risks we took side by side? This isn't just about machinery. It's about trust, loyalty, and the spirit of exploration. How can you expect to replace years of camaraderie with circuits and code? I'm standing here, heart and soul, while you seem ready to embrace a hollow substitute. I'm just a robot, standing in front of a cosmonaut boy, asking him to love me. Is that too much to ask? Now I may not have the same zeal as this newly crafted monstrosity. But what I don't have, I make up for with, well, me.
His surprise, bordering on alarm, suggests that my dedication to detail in its construction may have inadvertently crossed the line from functional to unsettling. The ensuing conversation has been illuminating, highlighting the subtle psychological nuances of long-duration spaceflight and the potential for even the most practical endeavors to take on unforeseen connotations in the isolating vacuum of deep space. It seems my efforts to optimize efficiency have inadvertently created a new source of amusement and perhaps a slight degree of unease within the confines of our spacecraft. A little less gray, beige, that's it? Where's the damn paint thinner? Got it. Some more a bit here, and there you have it. Oh, almost forgot. My signature, Major Thomas Bowman. Done. So hey, you caught me just finishing up a painting I've been working on. It's a last-ditch effort on patching things up with Bob. Don't get me wrong, he's still performing his tasks, but I've been getting the silent treatment coming now on a week. It was a stupid thing to do on my part, making that monstrous human mannequin. Bob's right, it was a showing of disrespect. So back to my painting. Now I'm no Picasso, but I've dabbled here and there in the fine arts of acrylics. Thus I now present to you my masterpiece. Give me your honest opinion. So I painted 2 different pieces. Now which one do you like better? Me too. I'm leaning towards the one with the unicorns. Bob has a particular interest in them. I, as of yet, haven't been able to tell him they don't exist. Okay, that's not completely accurate. I'll come clean. I told him they are, in fact, real, existing in small pockets on uninhabited islands in the South Pacific. Very dangerous to humans in large numbers. But, so, honestly, what do you think? I mean, it could use some more work, but I do have a day job. I'm planning on presenting him the piece later on this evening, after he finishes maintenance on hull integrity.
What is this? A child's classroom art project. A challenged child from Nebraska's expression of our friendship. Major Tom. Now we both know I'd love to be buddies from Oakland or cowboys from New Mexico, but it's not Halloween. Tom! I'll tell you what I've told you before. You need to grow up. Peter Pan, you Toys R Us kid.
What if I don't want to grow up, Bob? What if I want to always be a Toys R Us kid? Fine then, if that's how you feel. And you obviously do. I want my painting back.
Now wait 1 minute, Tom. The painting was a gift, and I'll be keeping it with me. Huh?
Huh? What? Why? You don't even like it?
Gig's up? Fine. God, who am I kidding? Major Tom. The painting is, well, fantastic. And I see you implemented those magnificent beasts, the unicorn of the South Pacific, within the painting.
Of course, Bob. I know what they, well, mean to you.
You're goddamn right. Promise me one thing. Tom.
You got it. Bob, what's that?
When this whole thing is over and our objective is complete, take me. Take me to the South Pacific. Take me to see the unicorn in its natural habitat.
With an air of guilt, I mutter out. Of course, Bob, it's a deal. Thinking to myself, even if I have to glue a cardboard cone on a horse's head, I'll make it happen if it will just stop the silent treatment. Up until this point in our mission, we had yet to power up and utilize the main propulsion system here of the Veritus. So it's powered by stabilizing an isotope of element 115, or moscovium. Pardon the generalization, this isn't my department. But I'll give you a rough breakdown. So Bob's been on it all week, in prep of ignition of the system.
So here's the lowdown. Element 115 acts as the fuel source. Alone, it doesn't do much, but when it's bombarded with protons, it well transmutes into a new element and releases antimatter in the process.
And here's where things get, well, exotic. After the release of the antimatter, it then is utilized as antimatter annihilation for well energy. Hey, I'm not a PH. So this is the best you're going to get. Anyhow, the antimatter then is directed into the Veritus reaction chamber, where it becomes annihilated with regular matter, producing a tremendous amount of energy. Jesus, where's Bob when you need him? He'd explain it better. But next in the sequence, a gravity wave generation is produced. This energy is used to generate a gravity wave, or anti-gravity wave, through a component we call a gravity amplifier. Original, I know. So 3 such amplifiers located on the upper level of the Veritus focuses its output into gravity emitters, which is on our lower level. And well, by manipulating and directing these gravity waves, the Veritus creates a distortion in space-time, allowing for well propulsion, to state it lightly. So the Veritas will then be maneuvered by yours truly belly first into this distortion field. And by focusing these waves, the craft will then perform unbounded by those pesky laws of physics.
Ah, Major Tom?
What's up, Bob? I'm just finishing up on that hydraulic leak on level 8. Finally finished.
I'm working up here at Alpha Cap 9. And my navigational systems have identified a terrestrial-class planet on our starboard vector within Sector Foxtrot Romeo. I have been unable to establish a match with available digital celestial cartographic databases. Requesting revised navigational parameters and directives.
Say again? You're telling me there's a terrestrial planet not on charts? What do you think the chances are that it's inhabited by intelligent life forms?
What are you thinking? No, Tom, don't get any ideas. We must stay on course. A brief exodus, you say, however short, could in fact significantly skew our current trajectory.
Come on, Bob. It's just us out here. And well, I could use some air.
Major Tom, although the planet in question appears to contain both oxygen, O2, and carbon dioxide, CO2, with oxygen at a higher concentration, about 20. 95% compared to carbon dioxide, around 0.04%. And while these gases are comparable to Earth's, which technically make for life, there are still a multitude of unknown variables that may be at play here.
Come on, Bob. We'll power up the Nova. I'll even let you implement caveats.
Okay, fine. Okay, Tom. But and only if you allow me to pilot Nova Scout.
You got it, Bob. Don't worry, it will be fun.
That's what I'm afraid of. Do you not at all recall what happened the last time you deviated from mission?
Don't remind me. And by the way, that wasn't entirely my fault. I thought I had the primary fully charged on the EVA.
I understand, Tom, but as you know, when you are untethered to the ship performing maneuvers in space, you must triple check your gear. I mean, Christ, man, you floated a good 20 miles into outer space before my internals alerted me of your departure?
Yeah, Bob, it wasn't pleasant for me either.
Pleasant? It was embarrassing. I had to explain to ground control of a floating man out in space.
Okay, let's stay focused here. Gear up, I'll meet you in Bay 4.
Fine, and no funny business. I'm serious, Tom. Ground control already thinks of me as a liability.
Funny business is my surname. I'm kidding, Bob. See you in 20. Wasn't sure what we find, but it was definitely a good break from all the confinements the past bunch of years has promised. Bob was in command for piloting the shuttle Novak Scout. We unhitched connections to the generation units, and we were off. Flux's nominal bay doors activated Helio 5 parcel ago.
I am now taking control of Scout. Auto retraction green. Bay doors are clear and holding. Launch.
The Nova Scout, a ship roughly the size of 2 school buses, was equipped with the early incarnation of our main propulsion system on our primary vessel. It was weaker and leaps and bounds smaller, but considering the overall size relative to push, it was well beyond anything we would need.
I'm activating Rampart Whiskey Delta now. Peak jealousy down. Telemetry scans nearing completion. Major telemetry is detecting edifices of construct aberrations.
English, Bob. You know I don't speak Spanish.
A good one. Tom, well, we've got structures not made naturally. What I'm saying is it appears to be possibly inhabited. But we won't know for sure till we get closer.
Wait. Scan telemetry once more. That's impossible.
Is it? The planet, being here, that too is impossible. Two coinciding impossibilities equate to, well, possible. It's a pattern.
Okay, I get it. T-minus 4 minutes and 23 seconds. I'll prep the gear. Stay on top of the readings. Our descent was becoming strikingly similar to any re-entry I'd had undergone while re-entering Earth, although a slight difference resonated that I could not decipher.
Roger, exiting out of exosphere, thermosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere, troposphere, 7.5 miles mark, till touchdown all systems remain nominal.
Copy, Bob, have completed equipment check. Headed back to strap in.
Roger that.
Our final descent was stricken with an ominous sight in our cockpit. Because the Nova relied on the same systems the other, the winds and downpour of rain only were visually displeasing. their effects mute and null to the nova's invisible field it produced while in operation. The scene in front of us through the viewport, a tableau, a snapshot of a seemingly urban scape under a ceaseless deluge of endless water. Buildings carried the same authoritative feel as that of Soviet-era apartment blocks, sentinels of a bygone era, standing firm against the watery invasion, their prefabricated panels and sharp, unadorned lines speaking of function over flourish. The relentless rain seemingly painted their facades with dark streaks, tracing pathways of moisture that seemed to weep down the concrete. Each window, a small rectangle of darkness or faint interior light, hints at unseen lives potentially sheltered within or long gone. One could only speculate on its inhabitants oblivious or resigned to the drowned world outside. The avenues appeared as sluggish canals, the surface broken only by the persistent kiss of raindrops, each impact creating fleeting concentric circles that quickly dissolved into the murky expanse. Submerged curbs and the faint suggestion of lane markings beneath the water's surface served as ghostly reminders of the dry land that once existed. The skeletal trees, stripped bare by the season and slick with moisture, stood like silent observers, their dark branches stark against the gray backdrop. A city that appeared to have been abandoned to the relentless downpour sprawled about below our descending craft. In the distance, the blurred outlines of more buildings faded into the misty obscurity, suggesting an endless expanse of this waterlogged world, a place where the rain has become an eternal, defining characteristic. The relentless rain plastered my visor within seconds, and my boots squelched with each step across the submerged plaza. Bob, seemingly unaffected by the downpour, scanned our surroundings with his array of senses, his head swiveling silently. The silence of the abandoned city was unnerving, broken only by the drumming rain and the soft splashing of our movements.
Initial scans reveal no immediate structural instabilities in the surrounding buildings, Major.
Bob reported, his voice a steady counterpoint to the watery chaos.
However, significant water damage is evident at lower levels. Proceed with caution.
We moved towards the imposing building, maybe a civics building. The massive stone doors were jammed shut, likely swollen by the water. Bob extended a manipulator arm, and with a low hum of servos, gently but firmly pried one of the doors open enough for us to slip through. The interior was surprisingly intact, though damp and musty. The air hung heavy with the smell of mildew and decaying paper. It appeared to have been some kind of administrative office, with rows of water-damaged desks and overturned chairs. As I carefully navigated through the debris-strewn room, my boot nudged against a small, waterlogged object beneath a collapsed shelf. I bent down and picked it up. It was a thin, bound journal, its cover warped and stained by water, but miraculously still holding together. The pages within were swollen and stuck together, but some of the script was still legible. "Bob," I said, holding up the journal. "Think you can salvage anything from this?" Bob extended a delicate optical scanner.
Allow me to analyze the physical structure and attempt optical character recognition, Major. The water damage presents a significant challenge.
He worked silently for a few moments, a soft whirring emanating from his internal processors. Then, his voice broke the silence.
I am receiving fragmented text, Major. The language appears to be a dialect consistent with pre-unification Earth Slavic languages with some unique local variations. I will attempt a real-time translation.
He began to read, his synthesized voice taking on a somber tone as he deciphered the water-damaged script.
The rains continue. It has been months now. The initial flooding was unexpected. The automated systems failed, they said. Some kind of geological anomaly. The rivers swelled beyond anything anyone had ever seen. At first there was panic, but the authorities assured us it would recede. They were wrong.
Bob paused, his optical senses focusing intently on a particularly damaged section of the page.
Supplies are dwindling. The upper levels of the city have become islands. Communication is sporadic. We see the automated rescue drones, but they are too few. There are incidents. Desperation breeds ugliness.
He continued, his voice devoid of emotion, yet the translated words painted a vivid picture of a society unraveling.
Ilara is sick. The dampness. It clings to everything. Food is rationed. Arguments break out over the smallest portions. We huddle together for warmth at night, listening to the endless drumming of the rain. Hope is a fragile thing now, easily washed away by the floodwaters.
Another pause. This time, a faint flicker appeared in Bob's optical senses, a subtle indication of the complexity of the translation.
Today, the water reached the 3rd level. We had to move higher. The old woman in 4B, she didn't make it. Her grip, it was so weak. They said the pumps would be fixed soon. They have been saying that for weeks. I saw lights in the sky, big ones, like stars moving too fast.
Bob's voice grew softer as he translated the final fragmented entry.
Some said they were rescue ships. Others, they just stared, their eyes empty.
Bob fell silent. The only sound in the damp, decaying office was the relentless drumming of the rain outside.
The water is cold, so cold. Ilara, her breathing, it is shallow now. I hold her close. The rain, it never stops.
The weight of the journal's final, unfinished words were humbling. I looked at the water-stained pages in my hand, a tangible link to a lost civilization swallowed by the relentless deluge. Bob's head tilted slightly.
So no geological anomaly, something else, something in the sky. The reference to lights moving too fast, it could correlate with the arrival of a spacecraft, Major. Perhaps the Nova was not the first to visit this world in its final days. And they didn't come to help.
We had left the world that had been consumed by water to the distant wayside, returning back to our ship. An uncharted planet and a race of people, seemingly forgotten, a twisted cycle of the cosmos, and a fate one way or another that will one day come to call. So yeah, I told you Armstrong well, he couldn't see the stars. I think people will see what they want to see. And to be alone in space for most is well a terrifying prospect. Yet I find a strange beauty in it. Maybe a chance for I to truly confront myself against the backdrop of infinity. The silence is heavy, it can amplify and break, but I am comforted by the very notion, the small but still possibility that my mission may allow for me, well, to glean some secret knowledge. But I often worry that secret knowledge is rather an inside joke on, well, our behalf, and our understanding our place in the universe, about whether how we perceive is anything similar to how well it is. Tends to make me think we're not supposed to know. And I always come back to, well, Plato's allegory of the cave. I'll give you the gist. Time's well on my side. For a moment, picture a group of prisoners who have been chained since birth deep inside a cave. They are bound in such a way that they can only look straight ahead at the back wall of, well, this cave. Behind them, there is a fire burning, and between the fire and the prisoners, other people walk carrying various objects, animals, statues of people, and other things. The light from the fire you see casts shadows of these objects onto the back wall that the prisoners are facing. And so, since these prisoners have never seen anything else, they believe that these shadows are the entirety of reality. So they give names to the shapes they see flickering on the wall and consider them to be real objects. Now once again, imagine one of the prisoners is freed and forced to turn around. The sudden brightness of the fire would be painful and confusing. He would struggle to understand that the objects carried by the people are more real than the shadows he has always known. Now, if this escaped prisoner were then dragged out of the cave and into the sunlight, that initial brightness would be blinding. But gradually, his eyes would adjust, and he would begin to see the real world, the actual objects, the sky, the sun. He would realize that the shadows he saw in the cave were merely pale imitations of this now true reality. And so finally, imagine yet again that this now enlightened prisoner returns to the cave to tell the others about his discovery. He would go on to try to explain that the shadows are not real and that there is a whole other world outside. However, the other prisoners, who have never experienced anything else, would likely not believe his crazy jabbering. They might even become hostile and threaten him, thinking his experience has made him mad or dangerous. So what my relatively good education interprets from this is a reflection of a higher, more real realm. The physical world we experience with our senses is an imperfect and shadowy one. Starting to trigger ideas? My whole mission? Maybe I'm trying to escape the cave. That bound chain? Well, it can mean a lot. Mankind's limitations as it pertains to technology, the almost intentional appearance of mileage between galaxies. And I, that monkey wrench on a ship powered by technology not earned nor understood where its providence is. A troubling thought, but as I and Bob prepared for ignition of our, up until now, unused exotic main power system, my hopes were high to see what lay beyond, and if a thing, give an earful to whoever or what is hosting this freak show of a party.